Next one, now we're going to talk about Nutsedge and Kalinga, and this one comes out of Iowa.
Yeah, hi, Alan. This is Joe in Waterloo, Iowa, and I've got a mix of cool season grass, and my question is about yellow nutsedge. Every year I buy Sedgehammer. It's about $15 for the one packet, and I know that tenacity is labeled to kill nutsedge, and it's more expensive up front, but it lasts for a really long time because of the low use rate. And my question, I guess, would it be better just to invest in tenacity and use that to kill nutsedge, or keep buying Sedgehammer every year? Loving the podcast. Thanks for taking my question.
All right, Joe, this is a great question. This is going to affect a lot of people because sedges are really starting to kind of come on right now. Now, most of you guys up through the north, you're going to have yellow nutsedge, and you're going to find it in wet areas, and so a lot of people are going to refer to it as water grass. Besides the fact that it grows in a lot of wet areas, and that's not always the case, but it is a case in a lot of cases. The other way you can recognize it is it's a very light lime green color, and it will stand out. It looks like a grass from far away, but it will stand out because of its lime green color, and the larger it gets, it will start to lay over. And then if you really let it go, which I hope you guys aren't doing that in your lawns, it'll grow this giant seed pod or seed head in the middle that looks like bursting fireworks. So look up yellow nutsedge if you want. That's what most of you have. Purple nutsedge, I'm not sure where else that goes. I did have some of that when I had my St. Pete house. Purple nutsedge was like giant clumps, and it was much darker green color. And that was one that I had in Florida. So I'm not sure how many of you will face purple nutsedge. The other thing that we face a lot here in Florida, especially in South Florida, I have it all over my lawn, is green Kalinga. Now, the way that you'll know all of the sedges, especially the yellow nutsedge and the green Kalinga, green Kalinga is a little bit different, but it's still a sedge, is the blades that come up are square or triangular, and you can feel it. When you squeeze them, you can feel they're stiff and triangular in a way. So that's another way that you can identify that. Now, because it's a sedge, it's not a broadleaf weed, it does require a different way of treatment, and you have to go after it with different products. And the question here is about Sedgehammer and tenacity. So before I talk specifically to cool season lawns and then warm season lawns about sedges, let me just talk about some general things that all of you can do if you have sedge problems. And the first one is to dry the area up. Whatever area you have, if you have a way to dry it up, if it's an area that's holding water, by drying it up, you will help yourself going forward with stopping the sedges. Now in Florida, that's not the case because you can't do that because we get so much rain every day. It doesn't matter. The green Kalinga will grow through because it's getting enough water because it's getting watered every single day. And this is one of those cases where the rainy season is great for our St. Augustine grass, but it's also just as great for the green Kalinga. But either way, if possible, dry the area up, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from. Now, the second thing that I'll recommend for all of you is the post-emergence control. Now, remember, we have post-emergent and pre-emergent. Pre-emergent means you get to the problem before it comes up. You stop it. That's what we use prodiamine for. However, prodiamine only works on, crabgrass and a couple other things. It does not work on sedges. So in cool season turf, as far as I know, at least accessibly affordable to DIYers, there is no pre-emergence control for yellow nutsedge or purple nutsedge in cool season turf. So that means then the only way that you can control it in cool season turf is through a post-emergence control. And I recommend the same post-emergent, and post-emergent means attacking the problem after it's already come up. I recommend the same post-emergent for all grass types. And the name of that post-emergent is Sedgehammer, and that's what Joe mentioned here. You can also get it in a brand called Pro Sedge. It's the same thing. It's active ingredient, halosafuron. That is what I recommend. The reason I recommend that for all grass types is because it's very easy on turf. Make sure you read the label on the product that you have, but it is easy on turf, meaning it isn't going to stunt your turf. There isn't a lot of chance for it to injure your turf. Again, follow the label. I didn't read it. It might have a heat restriction on it. I did not read that far through it, but I will just tell you, in general, it's easy on turf. However, the fact that it is easy on turf also, one of the drawbacks to that is it works slowly. It can take about, 20, 21 days for it to really work on your sedges. I have used it here in my St. Augustine successfully. I've also used it up north successfully, again, when I worked for True Green. So it does work. It just works slowly. Now, when you work for a company like True Green, a slow-acting product like that is not always the best thing because customers aren't patient for 21 days. But you as a DIYer applying this yourself, knowing that, hey, this product is going to be good for my grass, meaning there's not a lot of danger with it. It's not a hardcore deal, right? Then I would use this and just wait it out for the 21 days. Now what Joe's talking about here is you can get it in single-use packs that already has a surfactant included, and it's like $8-9 online. And that one single use pack will treat 1 gallon of, it goes in 1 gallon of water and will treat 1,000 square feet. So that's really easy if you just have a small outbreak that you need to go and blanket spray a small area or just spot spray, which most of you probably up north are only going to do this in spot and zone spraying and cool season grass. I don't necessarily know if you're going to have too much problem with yellow nutsedge taking over an entire lawn. In most cases, it's probably only going to be, again, in low-lying areas or where there's wet areas or wherever water is retained, that kind of thing. So you guys could get away with that single-use pack one time a year, $8-9, comes with the surfactant in it. They also do have a larger Sedge Hammer bottle that you can buy, and I don't think that does have a surfactant in it, so you'll need to buy a non-ionic surfactant to ride along with that. But again, Sedge Hammer is what I recommend for all of you for post-emergence control of Kalinga or any other sedges. Now, I'm going to be doing that application in my lawn here, and I want to talk to you guys with warm season turf. Again, cool season turf, there is no pre-emergence control for you for yellow nutsedge. You just have to deal with it as it comes up. By the way, you don't pull it either. If you pull it, it doesn't get everything. The nutlets underneath will send up double. So don't try to pull it. You got to kill it with a chemical and dry up the area at the same time. Now, Joe's question, though, goes a little bit further because Joe also has tenacity. Tenacity is an excellent weed control for cool season turf. It's good for some other turf types as well, but I mostly know it from cool season turf. Tenacity is an excellent weed control, and it does have yellow nutsedge on the label. I don't think it has purple nutsedge, and I know it doesn't have Kalinga on the label, but it does have yellow nutsedge on the label, and that should tell me something right there, is that it's probably not the best control for sedges. Otherwise, it would wipe them all out. That's just me using, a little bit of my own thought process there. But then I did do a little research, and what you'll find is that typically if you're going to use tenacity, it's going to take 2 applications to eliminate nutsedge, possibly even more. So what I would say is tenacity is not your best lead dog if you're going after yellow nutsedge. And that's why you do have Sedge Hammer or Pro Sedge or Halosafuron, because it's a one-trick pony. It's a one-shot kill. That's what it's designed to do. It's a spike, typically. And what you can do is you can spike your Sedge Hammer in with your tenacity, and I think that actually makes a good control. So I wouldn't buy the tenacity specifically for the yellow nutsedge, but I would buy tenacity if maybe you have some post-emergence crabgrass that you're worried about coming up. Obviously, it kills dandelions and clover and other broadleaf weeds. So if you're going to use tenacity as your primary weed control for everything else, and you also happen to have a sedge problem, then I think tenacity is a good use there. But if you have a really bad yellow nutsedge problem, you'll probably have to spike your tenacity with some Halosafuron or with some Sedge Hammer, or just use the Halosafuron or Sedge Hammer separate. But I do not recommend in cool season grass tenacity be a lead herbicide specifically aimed at yellow nutsedge. Now, let's go to our warm season friends and let's talk about sedges. Mainly in Florida, we're going to be talking about green Kalinga, but again, any sedges that you deal with in warm season turf, let's talk to you next. Okay, now for warm season turf, we have a little bit different of a strategy because we do have a pre-emergent that I'm going to say is available, and there's a reason to use it, especially if you're down here in Florida. It's affordable and available. So the first thing we're going to do, especially with green Kalinga, so again, I'm talking to most of my friends here in Florida, or anybody else that's facing Kalinga problems, we are now coming into the rainy season. So right now, in another couple weeks, we will be in the official opening of the rainy season, and I've already seen the rainy season pattern starting here. I've already seen some thunderstorms come through, which is why my lawn greens up, and also why my neighbor's lawn greens up and ruins my domination line, because the lightning brings in that free nitrogen we talked about. But this also means now that green Kalinga is going to go crazy. Now, in my lawn, green Kalinga grows year-round, but it's the worst in the middle of the summer in the rainy season. So I want to get a pre-emergent down. Even though I have a bunch of it already out there, I know a bunch more is going to come up. So I'm going to apply a pre-emergent called Pennant Magnum. Now, Pennant Magnum is like $225 for a gallon. It's going to seem expensive, but the use rate is very, very low. It's in milliliters, in fact, to give you several months of control during the summer. So, in other words, the gallon that you buy should last you 10 years, as is the case with a lot of pre-emergents that are available to us. By the way, chemical manufacturers out there, you need to start making pre-emergents in smaller batches for homeowners. I'm telling you that right now. The market is huge. Don't ignore us any longer. Pennant Magnum, who is that? FMC. I highly recommend that you guys start bringing this down to a low, manageable, one single double use type size. Please do that for the DIY marketplace. You will not be sorry. But either way, Pennant Magnum, right now you got to invest up front. Pennant Magnum will suppress Kalinga, and I've used it now for the last 2 years, and it does a great job in suppression. It really does. It is not a be-all, end-all, but it will be a piece of the strategy. And again, in Florida, I can't dry the lawn up because it gets rain every day. So I put the pre-emergence down, and it suppresses the Kalinga going forward. Then again, with the post-emergence control, I'm still going to use the sedge hammer, the halosulfuron. It's really easy on my St. Augustine grass. St. Augustine grass is so susceptible to so many things, and you can use it on that. Both Pinnate Magnum and sedge hammer can be used on all of the warm season grasses, including Bahia grass and zoysia and St. Augustine and Bermuda and centipede and whatever other ones I might be missing. I don't think I'm missing any there. I just rattle them all off. But you guys know what I'm saying. All the warm season turf, you're all good for both of those products. You use those two together, and in fact, you tank mix them. I'll be doing that in the next couple weeks here to show you guys. You put the Pinnate Magnum in, you put in the sedge hammer, you tank mix those together, which is okay with herbicides because everything runs on the 1 gallon basis, and 1 gallon covers 1,000 square feet. So you can put those together. Now, you should not mix herbicides together that you don't know should be mixed together, but I can tell you right now that it is perfectly okay to mix Pinnate Magnum in water with sedge hammer or halosulfuron, and you have a very nice green Kalinga application going down. You got pre-emergence and post-emergence control, and literally your problem will be cured up for the most part in the next 21 to 28 days after that. And then you can control it from there with just spot sprays. So that is a great way to go about it for those of you guys in Florida or anybody in warm season turf that's got Kalinga or sedge problems. That's a good strategy to go after. Now, one other thing that I do like Pinnate Magnum for, it'll stop crabgrass for sure, but the other thing that it's nice for, especially this time of year in the summer, is for those of you in the Florida and even up into Georgia a little bit, maybe over into Louisiana, that you get some problems with doveweed. I had doveweed attack me so hard in St. Pete a couple years ago when I was doing a plug grow. I mean, I was up nights worried about it. I didn't even know what it was. I had never seen it before. I thought it was Egyptian crabgrass coming in. I was hitting it with blindside and it was dying back, but it just kept raging and raging and raging. And anyway, I learned my lesson on that. There's a lot of videos I have where I compared Celsius against it and all kind of things. But long and the short of it is that Pinnate Magnum is labeled to help prevent doveweed. So if you have problems with doveweed in Florida, that's another reason why you'd want to apply that now. And summer is when doveweed comes in.